Okay. So is that recording already?
That one is recording.
It
Let me
is?
check.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
I started
Oh.
it.
That's a very long warm up.
It's fine. We do bloopers. We have 2 different videos to do bloopers
Yes. Okay.
from. Okay. It's been a month.
Oh, it's been a while. It's like I feel like I haven't done this
It
forever.
feels like it's been forever,
been
but
longer.
it's been okay, month and a half.
Because we did it at the end of December.
That's true.
Yeah.
2 months.
It's been 2 months.
Here
It's
we
been
are.
2 months. Hello,
Yes,
people.
hello.
So what is this?
This is our commitment to do a bi-monthly product rant.
Yeah. This is our number 3. Yes, our third product rant.
Better audio this time.
Yes. If you haven't heard the other 2, in the first one we talked about job ads. In the second one we talked about roadmaps. Before I give you today's topic, if you're for the first time here, product rants are just Anna-Liisa and I talking about what we think about the different things that surround product management without filters, without
coffee.
script, and with coffee. Lots of it. And this time also with some
vastlakuklid. Vastlakuklid.
So yes. So today's topic.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Competition.
Yes.
What does competition mean?
Yeah.
To us personally, to companies that we work with, to companies that we've worked for.
Yes.
What is competition?
Yes. How do we think about competitors as product managers and as individuals running around business? So what is competition? Good question. So from a pure market definition perspective, I guess, is any other company or person going after the same market you're going after. You know, you have the same problem you want to solve for a section of the market.
And some customers that you might lose to them because they might be better or they might be worse.
Yeah, and that's what we want to dig into, right? Like there's all this aura surrounding the perception of competition that is very ready to fight.
Yes. And us versus them.
Exactly.
And we are better. Or they wish they were better. Or
yes. And all those things that, you know, that make it fun, but sometimes it can turn into actually a very toxic thing when you, start thinking of competition as someone to fight, and energy that then goes so much into that is taken away from customer.
Exactly. And how the customer actually perceives competition. I have a personal story. I'm taking a home loan. It's not been pretty.
And if you are a business serving already a group of customers, think that it's understandable you want to acquire new customers, but don't do that at the expense of taking attention away from your existing customers. You always want to take care of your existing customers first, unless you decide you're completely going to stop solving for that problem. And together with that, focus on customer acquisition. But the stories that I heard from your experience taking that loan sounds like banks are forgetting about their existing customer in the obsession of acquiring new ones. So watch out, we're not naming names, but it's a very, very popular behavior out there among very different banks.
And last but not least, don't know if you know, but we were once upon a time competitors.
Yeah, these 2 people here.
So how does that work out, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But maybe then we start with the story that I told you before today.
Yeah.
That currently I am on the lookout for a home loan because I want a bigger home.
Yeah.
I feel that we have grown out of the current one as a family and want a new one. Apparently, getting a home loan as an entrepreneur is already half impossible. But I tried anyway, and it's been, well, a successful endeavor in the end. However, I feel like I have written a master's thesis during the application process because I've asked for offers from all of the banks. Some of them, or one of them was very fast. They called instantly. They asked for some sort of documentation. I answered within a day. I had to send them my business plan and financial prognosis for 3 years. Thank God I had them. I'm not sure whether other solopreneurs have such paperwork. It seems like a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Yes, you should, but do you have a financial prognosis for 3 years for your company?
I don't, because I'm in very early stages. So I think it's a matter of a priority. Like,
Yes.
where is the right moment to have that prognosis? Like,
Well,
because if you're
exactly.
getting a business off the ground, the first thing is to meet your initial targets, which are
Yes.
short term, because you don't know when you're gonna achieve them. You aim at something,
Yes.
but it's very different. If you're going after investors,
Yes.
right? If you it's a very different scenario. So I don't have that prognosis
Yes.
right now.
Exactly. I wouldn't
I have it for this year only, barely.
exactly. I would not have either, even though I'm in like year 3-ish of the company. I don't think that I would have it quite at this detail, but because I had to write a project because I wanted a grant for the company, I had it. But anyway, so I assembled all the paperwork. It was a lot of documents. I think the first one that I sent was like 8 or 9 attachments when I replied to the email, while I had applied through an online form. And then I got an email where I had to recount all of the stuff that I put into the online form and additional documentation, basically. Then the second one that I applied to ignored me for 3 weeks until my partner applied for the same bank, and he is not a customer, and I was. So they never replied to my application. But
So there, take care of your existing customers.
But they replied to him instantly.
Yeah.
Then the third one, another one of my home banks, replied when I poked them, like, is there any news? I had to call the customer service, and then they were like, oh yeah, we're working on it, kind of, but no feedback. And then she asked me to send again all of the documentation I had submitted through the form online already over email, and additional, like, a lot of documentation, same as the first one, however different time periods.
Yeah.
So I had to tweak all of the documents that I'd already prepared.
So there's no standardization.
Yes.
In the market, and there is the common behavior, because I also have family members who were going through the same process in the same period of time. Like, they just recently closed a deal, and it was the same behavior in that their home bank wasn't as quickly to reply as a completely new foreign bank, and that shows that kind of desperation for acquiring new customers that puts aside energy from the existing customer, which is as bad as obsessing over the competition from a negative angle over obsessing over your customers.
Yes. Thank God that home bank was, in the end, like, the customer service was super nice. It took a lot longer, but it was a very nice experience in the end. However, the fact that I had to duplicate stuff, like to send it again, even though I had already made the effort, sat there for 45 minutes filling out all of my financial information, it was insane. And then she's like, okay, but what about this? And the same form only in email. I was like,
yeah.
Did you not get what I sent you?
Yeah. It's so unlike Estonia, right? Which is like, we're so proud of, like, all the efficiency and how everything is online and how everything is done so quickly. And then suddenly with this, you take a few steps back and suddenly become German.
Yes. And one of the banks, actually, one of the first ones that I applied to, they called me back instantly and they asked for additional information. It was super nice. I loved the conversation. And they told me that, listen, sorry, we don't know how the other banks are doing, like, making such offers, but we cannot come down in our offer. And it was significantly more than the offers that I'd gotten. And I was already their customer. So now I wonder whether, if I'd been a new customer, it would have been a different situation. It makes me super sad, because I love that one the most, I would say. But well, But so, what does it look like to an end customer like me? Like, you are all competing with each other. You are trying to outbid. But first of all, me as an existing customer, I feel like maybe I would be better off somewhere else, because the offers were much better.
Which is a very dangerous thought for a company that has you as a customer to put in your head. Maybe I'd be better off somewhere else. You are maybe unknowingly pushing your customer away. That's a very dangerous thing.
Because their offer was almost the best. Like, another bank that I'm not a customer of, they replied super fast. They only required a tiny amount of additional information, which I'd already prepared for them. Or I'd prepared, like, for the other ones, but, like, it was a reasonable time period, I didn't have to start retweaking it. They were like, whatever you have in this stuff, just send. Like, don't put too much effort into it. And they got whatever I put into the online form. The funny thing was their online form actually redirected to the wrong country first. So we filled out the wrong country's loan application, and they called us from the other country to tell us that we need to use that other link instead. That was funny. But anyway, another hiccup. But their offer was almost the best, and I was ready to go. Okay. Had the one of the home banks who was super slow not started reacting and doing things, because I was like, okay, they're taking me super seriously. Yeah. And their offer is good. Like, what am I waiting for? Because clearly, whatever they are currently concentrating on is not me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Maybe the other ones are so focused on just getting customers from the market, but then customers are seen as a number. Like, you're applying for a loan. For you as a business owner, as an individual, it's a very important decision.
Yes.
So you want to feel like you're served, you're treated well.
Yes.
But instead, what you feel is like you are being squeezed by all these businesses competing with one another, and you're being bounced from one to the other. You don't feel like, you have options, but rather...
Yes. And as a product manager, you may feel that you are doing the best that you can, and your, I don't know, management or middle management is kind of giving you certain instructions, or your hands are bound. But it's not even about what is going on in the company. You as a product manager are the one that should know what is going on with the customer. It doesn't matter whether it's directly or directed at your bank or connected to your bank. What is their general experience with this? Because it's not just your bank.
Yeah.
It's all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you are the one that creates actually less friction in that whole, like, remember the last one that I told you about, that they were lenient enough to just accept the general, like, whatever I had in that. It didn't matter the time span that it covered, or the documentation covered, but just to show certain things that they want to make sure that I have. They accepted anything that I sent, which I had, and they were super fast and super, like, taking me seriously. So as a product manager in one of the banks, unless you look at the whole experience, you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss the mark. You can be the best in your digital processes, but it won't matter in the end, because I experience the whole process as a part of the whole, not just your process.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing that maybe it's a healthy way to look at competitors from the perspective. Basically, it's good to obsess over competitors, not because they're your competitors, but because the segment, the customer that you want to attract is in an environment that exposes them to them and to you. You're not there alone. But that still brings us back to customer obsession through understanding how they interact with the competition. What are they looking for? What do they care about? And then understand, okay, how can I serve better? Or how can I serve this? Not because I want to be better than the others, but because I'm understanding this customer or potential customer from a perspective that is neutral. Is them as a member of the market, as a participant of the market that has options, accepting the reality that they have options, and that is in my best interest to make them feel like the option that I have is better. But I will only do that well if I truly understand what are all the conditions, and not just if I tell to myself that I'm the best because I'm the best, which is, it reminds me of many jobs I've had where that's all I heard from some of the managers. Like, it's like, we want to be the best. At what?
Yeah.
How does that look? How is that important for the customer?
And what does it actually mean in the market situation? If you are the best, it doesn't mean that the customer is blindly going to go with you. They will still consider the other options, and they will still go through the whole market experience. So if you, in that situation, I wish that the banks would talk to each other and just smoothen out what they require for a home loan from an entrepreneur. I am not a mythical animal. Estonia is the land of entrepreneurs. We encourage entrepreneurship. this should not be an outlier, or I should not be an
Mm-hmm.
outlier. So just agree.
Yeah.
What kind of documentation, in which format, what time spans, agree with each other, because
Yeah.
then you will all stop being friction for the customer.
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't want the customer that just comes with you, right? Like I don't think most people ask for at least 2 or 3 offers, I would guess.
I think so.
So,
Yes. I mean, it's anecdotal evidence what I have discussed
Yeah.
with people, but I never heard that of anyone going with the first option they have.
Exactly. So I think it's impossible that if you are the best, based on whatever criteria, but if you are the best, that your customers will only go with you. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
Almost.
Because it depends on every use case, which is why
Yes.
continuous customer discovery is important. Okay, you're the best retail store, you're the best food retail store, but the best at what? Because people think differently when they're thinking about the meat they buy, the vegetables they buy, the toiletries, right? And then there's a combination of tiny decisions that make up for their big decision: the time, the pricing, the location, the delivery options. And so when you say you want to be the best food retailer, you then need to understand who are you mainly targeting, right? Like what is it that you're going after? So yes, understanding your competition is important, but not because you're a gladiator facing another gladiator in this fight pit, but because you want to grab a piece of the market that is interacting with them, and you want to understand what that interaction is like for them.
Yes.
And so yes, know that competition, as Krishna likes to say, but with that in mind, with the understanding that you're looking at it to see what are you missing from the market. It could be also from a technological perspective, for example, but also to see how your potential or existing customer is interacting with that. Are they flirting with the competition, right?
Yes.
What is it that is attracting them
Yes.
to that? Like, what have they updated in the technology that is making it interesting for your customer? And not just because we're going to be better than them, because your energy is then going into the wrong place. But maybe it's time to share our own story as competitors.
It's a good segue, because like I said, I wish the banks would have talked to each other. We did talk to each other eventually.
Yes. We're people.
Yes.
Right? We don't bite.
Yes. Although I first thought that she would. I was sure of it, because like my whole thing was the fact that I had convinced myself that yes, like I'm going to do this product management, like raising it to the next level. I knew that nobody else had done it before. Most of what people were talking about was agile transformations, where you have a product owner, and this meme where the the PM asks for help, and then the agile coach high fives them, and then the PM drowns. Basically that's what agile does. Like, you think that you will get help in product from an agile coach, but you will not, because that's not what they do. Their thing is making teams work faster and smoother, but they don't advise you in which way you should be running fast now that you can run fast. But I had convinced myself, I can do it, and my my advantage is that I'm the first on the market, and it's going to be great. And then, and then coming into the market was actually great. I wasn't expecting too many customers, but the welcome was warm. And then, a year into it, I got this email which made me fall off my chair. First of all, I never received an email like that, or from a company like that. So I got really nervous, and I was asked for an interview, and I had the interview. And I guess I don't even know. I knew that there were other competitors interviewing for the same project. And then I got feedback after the interview that I didn't get it. And I was like, okay. No. But may I ask, who got it? And then I was told that Maria, or this person, Maria, had gotten it. And I asked why, or what was better. Can I get feedback? Because I want to learn continuous growth, and I believe that I can always get better. And they told me that the other person had hands-on growth stage startup experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is this mystical thing? And then the name
All the
was said,
words.
and but it was in blue. So I went and Googled, and I see you and Kalev. And I was like,
Who are these people?
how dare they make me not the only one?
He's like, I'm the first one in the market. Damn, there's someone else now too.
And then I was brooding there for a while, and then I was like, okay, but like, who am I kidding? Like, I look up to her, like, holy shit, she got that client. Like, instead of sitting on my rock and blowing steam out of my nostrils, like, if I now get over myself, I actually want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know who this person is, because we'd come across each other like at Product Tanks, etc. But we exchanged like a couple of sentences, and I had said that I'm not good at coaching juniors, and you had said that's what you love.
I love doing this. Yes.
Who is this person?
So it's very interesting because I didn't know about these. Actually, the first time I knew about your company was as I was cooking the idea of starting our own thing with Kalev, and it was like, is anyone else doing this? And instead of like having your thought of like, oh, no one else has done this, let's do it. Like, you know, you have the early adopters and laggards and whatnot. Yeah. The same thing you have it when you start a business. There's people who... I forgot about the zzz thing.
You also thought it's better than last time.
Is that going to be in it, I wonder? I didn't even know when you started.
I didn't notice.
For a while?
Let's just keep going.
Okay. So what I the kind of person I am when it comes to doing a business is like, I'm not gonna come and do the thing that nobody else has done innovative, but rather like, oh, there's not that many people doing that, but it's nice if someone else is doing it, because I feel like it's a validation that the market has that problem. So I was researching. I was laughing at myself because it's the typical thing of, I have this great idea. I'm going to call it this thing, product people. And then it's going to have these colors. And then I find a company in Germany doing the exact same thing with the exact same name, with the exact same colors. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit too much. And then I'm like, okay, is anyone else doing it here in Estonia? And then I bump into Product Ties. And I'm like, wow, this looks so pro. I wonder who's behind this. This is so... And there's all this colorful vibe that I was like really after. And it's like, oh, there's this person like Anna-Liisa. And then I wonder who else is behind it. And, you know, you have this perception of this big thing. And then we go and meet and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, we're actually on the same boat here. And I think the first time I was actually in the product time of Microsoft. And for me, it was like, oh, this is the person that I saw on the website. And so for me, it's more like, look, there's someone else doing it. And maybe I can learn something from this person. And on the story of the client, for me, it was more like, it's very difficult when you start your business. It takes at least a year and to get going, maybe more. Getting your first customer is going to be super difficult. I don't even know how to put a proposal. And so, you know, I was trying super hard with every little step. Like, is this what you include in the proposal? Maybe I should add these two. Maybe I'm going to modify this. So every step was like walking on glass. But at the same time, I was telling myself, don't be such a perfectionist, because you might totally fail here and it's okay. You're just getting started. If you fail, just ask what you did. Ask for feedback and see what you can learn. You know, luckily I got it, but I didn't know there was the other person on the other side getting a no.
At least one thing came out of it. Before I had the guts to ask you and ask the client, I was like, I'm sure it was my offer. That I should have more colorful, more thought through. So I had a whole new offer template after that. Like, I went just into doing, and then I'm like, wait, that's an assumption.
Exactly.
The assumption is the mother of all fuck ups.
And we do
that. So I gotta ask.
That's the thing. We do that a lot in product. Like, really, like when you find yourself, it was probably this, and then you find yourself acting on that, and you realize that's just an assumption. How do I really validate this? So, you know, like, but, you know, on the topic of competitors and stuff, it's like, wait, love it.
There's a dog behind the camera.
Yes. Okay, so on the topic of competitors and partnerships, after so many meetings, so, I mean, you've probably seen us, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not new
Mm-hmm.
here, already recording these rants, which is something that came out so spontaneously.
It actually came out of us kind of getting to know each other, I guess. We started having these conversations to see, I guess,
How
in
we
a way,
think.
how we think or what we have to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
and in the end, we were, or we are in a way competition, but we are stronger together as
Yeah.
competition than we are apart,
Yeah.
because we came to the conclusion that we are, I guess, opposite ends of product management that
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah.
Maria loves doing what I am just not really. I don't feel myself comfortable. It's not my natural way of being, and I love doing what she is not
Yeah.
comfortable with.
So what we have discussed is that when we look at, what is it that she's focusing on, what are we like focusing on here? It just goes like this. It complements because we're coming from different angles. The things that we enjoy, because there's the element of being good at what you do. But
Yeah.
if you start your own business, you're not only going to do what you think you're good at, you hopefully are also going to do something you enjoy. And so, yes, there are things that you're doing that I think are important, but I
Yes.
don't enjoy them that
Yes.
much. And so I focus on the ones that I enjoy the most if I can, right? And so we were like, why don't we just kind of like, partner instead of
Yes.
join forces? So there's stuff cooking.
Yes.
We're not going to share them out here
Yes.
right now. But that's what we learned basically from
Yeah.
talking to one another. So if you're going to look at competition, like, so there's two angles right now,
Yeah.
I guess we've discussed.
Yes.
The one where you learn about competition, not to obsess over them, but to learn about how do they impact the decision, the preferences, the choices of your target customer.
Yes.
Is one thing. But then the other one is, how can we complement one another? Maybe sometimes it's
Yes.
not as directly, because this is like just
Yes.
one-on-one. With some companies it might be bigger, but I think we as users and observers of the market have seen how a company, an example doesn't come to mind right now, but you suddenly see companies that were apparent enemies suddenly appear together on a commercial selling this like joint product or something. Like, nothing comes to mind right now, but I'm sure we've all seen it and experienced it. Like, oh, what are they doing together?
Because sometimes you are actually like you are two halves. Okay, the more precise example is that I work with management teams, or this is my natural way of being, because I think that product management, or the enablement for product management when it comes to transformation from project management to product management, it has to start from the top. So it has to be like, first of all, your management has to be convinced, and they have to live and breathe it.
Yeah.
And then you can start working with the teams, and the teams have more mandate to make decisions. Of course, you have to be like, you have to raise their competencies, etc. But then it's only then, when the management has bought in and there's a plan and everybody has agreed to it, when your product management can start working like product.
Yeah. And I'm like more of I like to focus on the individual. Like, I think I can relate just because I go back into my initiation as a product manager, which for many of us is an accidental thing, where you see some problems that need solving, you see opportunities to do it, but at the same time you're a little bit lost, and then you don't know exactly how to go about it, and it's such a daunting feeling, and there's all this level of uncertainty about so many options, and there's all these frameworks and tools and expectations. And so I guess that's like the teacher, mentor, coach side of me that really wants to and enjoy sitting with this one person, and is like, okay, let's see what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you're thinking about it, and how can we change your mindset around that one step at a time. What is it that you can work with, even within the constraints that you may be having from management? Maybe management hasn't bought in. I'm okay working in a condition in the conditions where management hasn't bought in, and I still like to see kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel of, you could still do this within this constraints. Let's maybe take out of the picture, which is how perfect product management would look. So if you think about it, you do the okay, let's get leadership into buying, and then let's train the teams.
Yes, exactly. I do that, and then I try to enable the teams, but looking at how Maria does it, it's just, they fly so much more. And I guess like, she works with the constraints because like she so far has not reached, or I don't know, the management, or it hasn't
I
even come.
just don't get excited
Yes.
about it. I guess, that's the part that I say I can do it. I've done it. It's been part of my job before, but I'm not that excited about it. And so if I can, I will avoid it. If I have to, I will deal with it. But it's like, you like to do it? Great, go for it. Call me when you need help in the other side, or hey, they need help on that leadership thing here. Maybe you want to, go
Exactly.
for it.
So it makes sense, and it doesn't mean that we will work together on every single customer, but I now know that when I need, or the teams that I work with need such kind of help, Maria is the logical step. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. This
Yeah.
is not my natural way of being. Some teams I do work with, I do enjoy when there's a lot of data and we have to reassemble with this and do some innovative thing. But I don't this is a very particular niche
Yeah.
that I go into. It's not really helping the team come to terms with what the expectations are and what the restrictions are. I feel like I've done it a lot in my life, and the next step is different for me.
Yeah. I guess that's also an important aspect. Like companies, depending on what stage they are in their product development, in how well accepted they are in the market, what resources they have to be able to serve a particular problem, should be smart about seeing some of their gaps as something that can be complemented. Like, okay, listen, we would love to cover all of this workflow, but we only have resources to do that, and being able to acquire the resources to cover everything else and acquire all that technology or build all of this is going to be too slow of a process. What we can do is understand what players are there in the market that already do this part great, and we become the best at this, that can work nicely with this other thing. So you kind of shift the mindset of seeing competition as something to fight, and you see a competitor as someone to partner with, or as someone to complement. Yes, of course, people will talk about that. Oh, but what if they just steal your idea? That risk is always there anyway. But you might as well try and focus relentlessly on the part that you're already likely to do best, and see yourself as one piece of the puzzle. And I think a lot of companies fall into this trap. Like, they become successful because they're really good at something.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're not satisfied with that anymore. And then they want to become great at everything. And that's not possible.
Yeah, and it's a similar kind of dynamic, right? When regarding competition, or when you're building software, or you're building a product, right? Some companies seem to have the strategy of building everything yourself rather than taking a white label something in order to get to the market quickly. Maybe we use white labels a solution in order to use it as a means to an end. Some teams opt to rather spend 6 months building it than buying it in. Kind of it's also kind of are we competing? Like, our development team is competing with an already existing solution which is very good. Yes, it may not be exactly it's not something that will serve you for 10 years if you do the analysis, but maybe it's something that helps you validate your product on the market. And if it becomes very successful, you can always opt to build it then. But somehow it's a competition. We are better at building this rather than
and
doing.
in my experience, people who work in business development are more flexible in that thinking of considering, do we build, do we buy, or do we partner for this particular problem? But if you speak to people in the craft, engineers and designer, there's an element of pride there, and it's the whole, yes, we can do it better, this doesn't work, and then they focus on what is not working from that existing solution. But then when they get into it, they realize, and this comes too late, this comes at a great cost, that this is actually more complicated than we thought. So that's another big decision we have to be making as product managers very often. Do we build for this solution? Do we partner for this solution? Do we buy? Buy is another monster, because you think you're going to buy plug and play. There are things that you see during a potential acquisition discussion and due diligence that you think is going to have allow you to see deep into the wiring, the piping.
Yes.
And it's only after you've acquired that you realize, oh, this doesn't really like work
Yes.
with this. So I guess that whole mindset of building an MVP can also be brought into the buy evaluation process.
Yes.
How can you test in very practical manners with NDAs and whatnot? But if people go like very carefully, like, yeah, let's acquire, yeah, let's be acquired, but you're not sort of really giving enough information, you're not going with the mindset that you really want to succeed, but just, close the deal, money's. And I think you have to go with a mindset that let's see how we can make this work, or identify very quickly
as a
whether
partnership,
we'll
for
just
example.
exactly,
and then
that is, maybe test it out as a partnership first. And I think that's healthier for relationships, which I believe translate into healthy for a business, because all of these sort of negative, toxic interactions of seeing the competitor as the enemy are reflected in the end in how the business is done and reaches the customer.
Yes, and I think that it, at least reflecting upon my experience in working as a product manager and but with us, the kind of the skepticism comes from actually not having enough information about the competition situation, because it's never direct, or it's not the same. The products are never the same. The target audiences are never exactly the same. Your strengths are never exactly the same. So if you don't know your own strengths and you don't know your competition strengths, you can't even think about like where the synergies might be, because all you see is threat, basically. And unless you can like ease into it, start looking at the details, like in Estonian we would say the forest behind the trees. You can't see like any opportunities there. Then of course you're going to be us versus them.
Yeah, it's a very superficial way of seeing it, and it's a very survival, evolutionary useless trait at this point. Is like a very animal thing, like, yeah, they're gonna do these, and it's like, and we have it, it's there, it's in our brains. But that's the challenge for us as product managers, like to challenge our thinking so that we overcome those very primal fears, and then look at all the concept of competition, like. And I think that's how amazing things happen, because you end up discovering things that otherwise you wouldn't, and maybe you will see something that someone else has not seen. It reminds me of did you ever watch Mad Men?
Yes.
We finished it recently, so a lot of the things are very fresh. And it reminded me of this moment when Don Draper and Ted Chaw went on a trip to present as competing participants, just like us with this big client, their proposals. And they meet at a bar before the day of the presentation, and they realized that actually what they want is to take the ideas from us. It's a very interesting realization, because you also want to understand whether some competitors do play like that and they're bigger than you, and it's better to partner with someone that is your size, kind of like your weight, rather than going into a partnership with someone that is just there to eat you. And so they did the smart thing, which was, what if we come as one? And I feel like I relate, we're like that, because we're small, like we're like solopreneurs in this world of new things. And it's like, this is the situation where alone we get farther, faster, but together we get farther. And that's what we want for our businesses, right? We want sustainability. We just want this to work, like we really want it to work. And so that,
and for us to work, for if it works for us, it means it has to work for the customers. Because for the customers, if they get a part of the value offering, and at the end like the product management, I don't know, operational model, way of working doesn't work for them, then we lose out just as much as they do.
Exactly. Because they'll get an incomplete puzzle or piece. And I think in the end, it's I guess that's like our message, right? Like, whatever competitors you've been thinking about under a very dark light, ask yourself, how are we complementary to them?
Mhm.
What is it that we admire in them? And what is it that I should double down on because I'm stronger at that, and like stop chasing this
Mhm.
other thing that is just taking energy and focus away from the
Yeah.
one thing we could be great at.
Yes, exactly. Because I think, or at least like about myself, if I have this like a strong of a reaction to somebody or something,
Mm.
usually it means that it's important. Usually it means that maybe I look up to them, or there's a point there that I should be digging at. If I have no reaction, then most likely like at least it's not interesting. But if it invokes a reaction, either positive or negative,
Yeah,
there's something
there's
there.
something in there. Yeah, yeah.
So lean in when there's something there. If you have a competitor who, I don't know, in your company, in the hallways, people talk, sorry, shit about.
No
um,
filter.
yes, no
This is the
filter. But
conversation we
if
have. If people talk shit about.
yes, if like there's a competitor that is frowned upon or whatnot, maybe there's something there that they're actually doing better
Mm-hmm.
because like you only feel the need to put something or somebody down when you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you don't live up to it. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a way to rise up rather than drag somebody down.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
emotionally when we have
Hmm.
this reaction, and I
Hmm.
think it also happens with
Hmm.
the individuals. So there's two possible scenarios
Hmm.
to oversimplify. There's
Hmm.
probably more than two, but to oversimplify it, I think there's two scenarios. If something's rubbing you the wrong way, or
Hmm.
someone's rubbing you the wrong way, there's something, as you say, that they're
Hmm.
doing that you might actually want to learn from. So you need to kind of put on different glasses, which is like, get curious about it. But there's a rub the wrong way, which can also be you're giving too much importance to something that doesn't add value to
Yes.
you. So like the Mel Robbins let them theory, like,
Hmm.
let them
Yes.
be and move
Yeah.
forward with it. So you might want to identify that.
Yes.
Like, for example, I don't know how banks felt when Wise came into the market and they were
Hmm.
just like protesting against all
Yes.
this dirty bank industry and whatnot. And I think there were two things that banks could have done there. Like, okay, whatever they're saying is actually not true. We're doing a transparent business. Our customers know our fees. We shouldn't pay attention to what Wise is doing. We should maybe just highlight the message that no, actually, our fees are transparent and we're giving a fair offer to our customers. Or the ones that were brought the wrong way because they could learn. I was like, okay, we're gonna lose customers to these people because we could be doing this better and better with the business. So we should eliminate these hurdles because, hey, guess what? The market is changing. Consumers have more information about all this financial data, and so yeah, always ask yourself, like, is there anything that I could learn from this
Yes.
situation and kind of see the competitor differently under a healthier and smarter light of opportunity? Or is it truly something that doesn't matter, in which case stop paying attention to it and wasting your time and energy talking about it?
Yep. It doesn't actually mean that you need to start doing something, but you need to validate on the market whether this is actually true. And you need to make a strategic decision whether this is your business, like whether you want to go about it. Maybe
Yep.
they are, yes, saying these things, but it's not somewhere you want to grow, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
But don't leave it with the emotion of they suck somehow, or they're just like, you know.
Just an
Yes.
angry, childish emotion that has no foundation, true foundation.
Yes, and I see this a lot. Like without going into it, like that one is they're so terrible. I cannot understand how the customers don't see it. Like, why do they even go to that one? There has to be something. Just lean in. Go and ask those customers. Like, why
And
are
I
you
think
there?
that's the same kind of thinking that
Hmm.
gets you into the why they didn't understand our solution. Are customers
Hmm.
stupid or what? The growth mindset, really humble yourself down a bit and think, why they couldn't understand it? We thought it was so obvious. Did we test with the wrong people? Did we um, skip some obvious element that was important to them? I think, and that's the thing, you find a lot of cockiness in product management
But you
where,
said in your speech cockiness or the they don't understand. It's a very like it signifies fear or
yeah,
maybe yes.
yeah, when people are
Hmm.
cocky, is
Hmm.
they're trying to protect themselves most times. There's an insecurity there. But again, if you want to be a great product manager, if you're a product manager listening to this and you want to be great, pay attention to whether you're being cocky and do the opposite. Be more humble. Humility allows you to bring down your guard and look at things with interest and curiosity rather than with a sense of threat and, like, pum, 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 fight.
Competition always has something to learn from, I find. Like, if very little sometimes, but if you really look at your competition, you will always find something that they're doing better at and that you can learn from. Yeah. Some things that you will see that you are doing better at, but it's never
we're better than them and that's
yes, it's not black or white. Yeah. It's in the details.
It's pink, like this delicious vastlakuklid.
Do we go into the vastlakuklid now?
I'm going for it.
All right.
Do we have anything else to add?
I think we call it a day today.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right.
Then
two partnerships. Competitors turn into partners. Yeah.
And see you next Product Rant.
Yes. Bye-bye.